There's a $14 trillion market out there. Bitcoin for 2030 is almost $700,000. With growth between now and 2030, $4.6 million to train. And by 2030, we think it'll cost $30. We're entering into an exponential growth world. Then real GDP growth should kick up here. If you look at the consensus forecast between now and 2040, you'll see it averages real GDP about 2.6%. And these S-curves started feeding S-curves. And these new technologies are integrated into our everyday life. They go mass market. The forecast that would be consistent with technological history and consistent with these new technologies would not be 2.6% GDP growth per year, but more like 8.5% GDP growth per year, with growth between now and 2030 being roughly 6.1%, accelerating thanks to super exponential growth between 2030 and 2040. So look for the convergence piece and learn more about how economic statistics are going to change, meaning we will have to be much more skeptical about the economic statistics, the readouts that we're seeing, than we have been historically. We go into AI and training costs that are dropping at a 70% annualized rate when you analyze both the hardware and the software involved in AI. Think about that. If you cut the cost of something 70% per year, you're going to get a lot more of it. GPT-3 performance, it cost $4.6 million to train a model with GPT level performance. Today, it costs $450,000, and by 2030, we think it'll cost $30. So we're going to see artificial intelligence impact every industry, every company, and companies not harnessing it are really going to lose out. And the biggest impact is going to be on productivity. We do believe that there's a $14 trillion market out there by 2030 for companies to harness and to enjoy the productivity lift that we expect. And that forecast, that 14 trillion, is associated with a fourfold plus increase in productivity. So digital consumers, the shift from linear TV to connected TV, and it is going to be dramatic during the next few years. And I think the most provocative chart in the digital wallet section is helping people understand the number of steps between a buyer and a seller these days in the open loop credit and debit card transaction. And if we move to a closed loop balance funded transaction, where really it's the buyer and the seller are working through these digital wallets, and the savings will be 2.4%, which could be spread among buyers, sellers, and the digital wallets themselves. So public blockchains, we go through and show why we're even more confident now that crypto assets are going to rival and redefine traditional asset classes. Crypto assets being valued at the end of 22 at roughly 1 trillion. We could see 25 trillion, a 25-fold increase by 2030. I know that our Bitcoin price got a lot of press. We are recommitting to the $1 million. We've had to take assumptions for corporate treasury uses of Bitcoin on balance sheets and nation-state treasury uses. Those have come down a bit. But still, we do expect our base case for Bitcoin for 2030 is almost $700,000, and our bull case is roughly double that. Right now, Bitcoin is inflating as it moves towards its mathematically metered 21 million units. And Ether, I think, has just moved into a decline in Ether. That's quite a robust statement right there. And we do see smart contracts, fees generated by smart contracts moving from 11 billion, so nascent last year, with DeFi a part of it, NFTs as well. EVs have hit price parity with gas-powered vehicles, and now they're about to go into another accelerated decline in price as gas-powered vehicles just will not be able to compete. But we do think that gas-powered vehicles are at serious risk here. Autonomous ride-hail, we believe that Tesla's in the pole position there, certainly in the United States, but we also highlight once again how global oil demand is at risk because of electric and autonomous. We would not be surprised by the year 2035 to see oil demand down 30% from where it is today, and even by 2030 by 5% or 5 million barrels per day lower than it is today. We also believe that auto sales may have peaked in 2017, that ride-hail, both human-driven and that soon autonomous, are going to continue driving down the demand for autos because the capacity utilization associated with ride-hail vehicles is so much higher than personally driven vehicles. Drones are going to collapse the delivery cost. The delivery cost of local small items down by 22-fold, from $5.40 to 25 cents. That's per delivery. Now, this will be at scale. That's not how low the price will be to start. In fact, the umbrella price is that $5 price from traditional delivery. But over time, competition will drive that price down to 25 cents. World Toshikini did a very comprehensive job this year of showing how much delivery costs are going to collapse. And I think the big surprise here is that robotics is the technology now, that the multiomics revolution is well underway. Robotics, believe it or not, is the most nascent technology out there, that from such a low base, I think we're estimating unit sales of industrial robots in 2022 were somewhere between the 600 and 700,000 unit range. Those are going to scale into millions upon millions because the performance has increased 33-fold over the last 7 years, so much so that Amazon is adding 1,000 robots a day. And by the year 2030, we wouldn't be surprised to see Amazon adding more robots than people. Even though the number of employees will continue to increase, robots will increase more. Comparing it to Amazon, which is one of the most advanced companies in the use of robotics, Amazon's robot density per 10,000 employees is 3,200. So it has about a third as many robots as it has employees. In the manufacturing sector, that number is 140. So 33% for Amazon, 1.4% for manufacturing. And that's because the costs have been too high and they haven't been capable enough. But AI is changing that. In healthcare, 3D printing is reducing operating times on average by 30% and increasing performance as measured by surgical accuracy and results by 40 to 50%. Orbital aerospace. This again, Sam Corris has done amazing work here on reusable rockets and how quickly we're able to refurbish them now, and expectations for Starlink, and also delineates how satellite broadband, think Starlink, could generate $84 billion in annual revenue over the next 10 years. And that's because a lot of people don't have access to broadband. I think it's 2 to 3 billion people around the world. RVs, recreational boats, commercial aircraft, cruise ships, warships, commercial ships, all of them will start using satellite broadband, and that could be an $84 billion market. And hypersonic flight, unbelievable what we expect to happen. We expect early hypersonic flight to cost about $100,000. It'll be a $270 billion revenue market in terms of potential. But Starship could take that $100,000 price tag for a flight down to $18,000. And rapidly reusable Starships, 1,800. That's terribly exciting. Is going to make the world a much smaller place and take us into new, meaning Earth a much smaller place, but take us into whole new realms of space.